Over the past 24 hours, there has been 284 rescues, flood rescues, in that mid-north coast and Hunter area of New South Wales. Since midnight alone, there's been 150 rescues that have been undertaken. We have seen an enormous amount of rainfall over the Hunter and the mid-north coast area, with falls of up to 280 millimetres in parts. We expect that today's weather will also continue with predictions of between 150 and 200 millimetres, particularly in that mid-north coast area. And what we are also seeing is a movement of that rain band further north, starting to impact into southern parts around the Coffs Harbour area. What we have got also out there at the moment, I touched on this yesterday, is there are 1,600 plus volunteers from the SES, and they are joined also by people from different agencies. And in that sense, we've got 20 flood rescue teams that are made up of multi-agencies, so other agencies that are also trained in flood rescue, and 24 teams of SES flood rescue capability specialists. We've also got more teams on there. We've got 5 helicopters in the air at the moment, with another 4 on their way. And what we're seeing is a really clear example of throwing every single thing that we've got at this event. I want to thank not only the SES volunteers, members of the SES, but also other agencies. The ADF also responded to a request and have provided assistance that's on its way in addition to that. We've got a situation here where the rain really has been falling quite heavily and quite hard, and it hasn't been moving away. Part of that is because the ground is so saturated. Another part is also because the rivers are swollen. We've been very clear in terms of giving information to communities and getting that information out quickly. And again, I would remind people that the best source of information is the SES. So look at their websites, their Facebook page, official SES ones, the Bureau of Meteorology, as well as, of course, our hazards near me app. And to that point, we've seen a number of different warnings that are in place. There are many warnings that are in place at the moment, and they range from prepare to evacuate, to an evacuate, to seek higher ground, to as well prepare to isolate. And we are working with those individual communities. Now, when it comes to messages about evacuation and preparing to evacuate, we know that sometimes people may not necessarily always see those messages. We found different ways to get those messages through. But these are messages that are designed to give you the latest up-to-date information in terms of staying safe, in terms of being able to be in a position where hopefully people don't have to come to rescue you. This is a really important one, and we understand that for whatever reason, people may not necessarily have heeded those calls. But could I say this really clearly? The messages that are sent out through the emergency services are designed specifically to keep communities safe, to keep individuals safe, and to give the most up-to-date information that we have. I would urge everybody to heed those calls and make sure that they have that planning. I would also be encouraging people in advance to start planning and to start thinking about it. And for those people at the moment who are isolated, for those people who are waiting on rescues, we're throwing everything that we have into ensuring that we can get these rescues undertaken. We've seen images, of course, of people who are on roofs. They are the absolute priority, and there's been over 16 rescues just since first light this morning. And it is an absolute priority for us, and something that we are working on, the SES and all the other agencies are working on. And of course, many of those, the way to do that is through an air response. So we continue with that. But can I again thank people for heeding the messages, for following the instructions, for being kept up to date, and also for making sure that they do things like avoid driving through floodwaters. For those people who are waiting to be rescued, we know that this takes time. We are working on it. It is an absolute priority to get you there. We ask you to continue being patient. We will make sure that we get to each person. We're doing the very best that we can across all of those different agencies.
We have significant amounts of rainfall, 200 to 300 millimetres of rain that we've already experienced in the Hunter and the mid-north coast. We're expecting from the Bureau's indications and predictions that there is another 24 to 48 hours of this rainfall, again of a similar amount, approximately 200 millimetres of rain. They'll continue to create localised flash flooding. Any low-lying areas will be seeing flooding as well. and this system is slowly moving to the north. So what we had 24 hours ago was on the Hunter area, then it's moved to the mid-north coast and it's slowly moving into the northeast. Our deployments and our capabilities are moving associated with that. Our focus at the moment is very much in the Taree, South Taree, Glenthorne areas, as well as up to Coffs Harbour. That's where we currently have overnight significant operations in terms of rescue operations and as well as associated support. As we've already heard, we've got significant numbers of helicopters, 9 helicopters in total that are working in that area, and we'll supplement that as necessary if we need to. We've also got multiple SES teams and other multi-agency teams, and that makes up a total of 44 rescue teams. They're very active in the space at the moment. There have been situations overnight where we're unable to access people, either by air or through water, but these are highly trained volunteers and staff from all of the agencies that are doing their best and continue to reach out to any calls of support and rescue. We are prioritising those rescue operations, as you've heard from the Minister, in terms of we do know we've got people on roofs, we're in contact with most of those people, and we're continue to prioritise the greatest requirements of those rescue operations, and will continue to do so. In addition to that, what we are planning for, and we've got additional resources coming in, both from the Australian Defence Force in terms of the form of a helicopter, 2 helicopters to support us, but we've also got additional support coming from other states, both in terms of planning, specific flood intelligence officers, and recognising the weather continues into the later end of the week and into the northeast, and potentially further weather into next week. We're also planning for those factors as well in terms of further pre-deployment, further resourcing requirements. There's an enormous strain on our people, but they continue to be very focused in terms of what they are doing within their local communities, and I applaud all of the emergency services that are out there day in and day out in terms of the current operations. I think that the key message, as we've already heard, really is if you're in places that are isolated but not experiencing impact from floodwaters, please be patient if you need to get out. You will, in some cases, those floodwaters will rise and fall very quickly. In the areas like Taree, typically what we see in the flood areas for Taree area in terms of isolation might be only approximately a day. In other locations, it could be anything up to a week. Those communities that suffer that isolation but are in higher ground know that, they've planned for that. We've been engaging with these communities well prior to these floods arriving. We've had the evacuation orders out, but now today is very much our focus in terms of the rescue operations, and we're asking people to work with us, make sure that there's no further rescue operations in terms of people travelling on roads, so our resources can be very much focused in terms of where they need to be for the people that are currently in areas of need. Again, in that Coffs Harbour area through to South Taree and Glenthorne areas as well.